Hi.
Hello, hello. How are you today?
Thank you so much for joining me, Wanda, Black Women Travel. Super excited to have you on today, Nadia,
Thank
Global
you.
Chronicles of Nadia.
I am happy to be here.
Yes. I have so much to ask you about
Okay.
because you have all the words and all the stuff to tell us. Okay, so if you don't know, which you might not, Nadia was a part of our Black Women Travel Mastermind that started this past January. She also came to the International Black Women Travel Jubilee, the premier conference for Black women travelers last December, where the mastermind was offered. And so things have happened, things have transpired, and I want to get the whole story. So take us
Okay.
back just a little bit, please, to what brought you to the mastermind.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So I think that the draw for the mastermind, well, one, I thought that um, I really aligned with what was being offered through the Black women travel community. And the first word that comes to mind when I think about the community is substance. So the content that would get posted, the commentary from the people within the community, the prompts that you would post on the page, it just seemed well matched for where I was on my journey, as well as it it just really stood out compared to some of the other things I had been reading or looking for, or even other groups that I had been involved with. So I trusted that the conference was actually going to be good, and then that trust just kind of went from there as more information got posted, as different opportunities presented themselves. They were just consistently well matched for where I was and what I needed at the time. So when the mastermind came out, I said, this sounds like it could be really interesting. I think that this group has consistently shown me that I get a lot of value. Why not make the investment, take the leap, and see what I get? And I'm very pleased that I did. I took the leap
Yes.
and participated in what was it, 12 weeks?
12
And I
weeks.
got much more out of it than I ever, ever, ever expected. So thank you for that offering.
Such a pleasure. You are such a ray. I hope that in this small amount of time, people see just how completely delicious you are. Um, I want to talk about where you were. You said where you were in your journey. So you originally you call yourself an accidental nomad. You originally planned to be out of America for 6 months, and that ball just kept rolling. so
Yes.
yeah, talk to us about that a bit.
Yeah, so the short story, I guess maybe not short, medium story, is that I had been thinking about career breaks off and on for some time. There were people in my world who had done them, folks who were in higher ed, people who were in IT, people who I worked with in my previous career, and there was something that just kept holding me back. And once I had identified that, there's no reason why I can't do this, and I put it out there, the universe began to conspire in my favor. So, it's been about 22 months since I left my job and I put my stuff in storage. I ended up doing 9 road trips around the US, solo road trips. And then in June of 2021, I decided well, I guess I had decided before then, but in June of 2021, I left the US and started my international exploration with a remote year program. So I did remote year for 1 month. And then after that program was over, I just started bopping around. And so I've been traveling ever since. And it's been fantastic. So, what I was also doing, so to specifically answer your question about kind of the journey and where I was, as I had been away, I was pulling together these interesting experiences. And I wasn't really into posting on a regular basis or blogging or any of those other things. And so people kept saying, you've got to. offer this information. You've got to tell people about what you're doing. People will get really excited when I told them about some of the experiences I had. And for me, it just seemed like the type of stuff that I would probably do if I was at home. So it wasn't as, I didn't think that there was anything unique or special about it. But the more people were kind of telling me, nudging me, the more I thought, I should try to formalize this. I should put some structure around it. I should see if I can tap into resources and then enter the mastermind. So I had been looking for some type of structure that had some degree of flexibility, that was a community of fellow travelers and women who were in the same place where we're all trying to figure it out. We had acted, we had taken a leap, we had been doing things and traveling and all of that kind of living, and wanted to add a little bit more structure to what it is that we were going to offer and what that would look like from a sustainability perspective and mindset perspective, and check all the boxes.
And I love what you said about it wasn't special to you what you were doing because it's something you had always done. It's something you would be doing if you were back home.
Yeah.
And how we overlook that. That is the constant overlooked thing. You talked about information because it's not like you're not a glib type of chick. So you're not a surface type of chick either. So the type of research and the type of experiences that you have when you travel have such depth, have such, you use the word substance, have such substance to them that you talk about things and you pull people into a story in a way. Can you just like tell us about your museum experience? Like, I
Oh,
think that's
goodness.
a great, yes, that's a great example. So people can get a taste of how you experience a place and the thing that you pull out of a place.
Yes, yes, yes. So, I've traveled a fair amount. I think this is country 30, 31, something like that for me, which is, I think, a thing that I need to step back with and remind myself that a lot of Americans don't even have passports, right? So it's what feels normal may not be, because I've been doing this for a while, so it might not feel as easy for a person who's new at this, right? We all were beginners at some point. But in terms of recent experiences, one of my favorites was I was in well, gosh, there were so many. One recent one was back in Abu Dhabi. And I had been there for several weeks and was doing a lot of the tourist things, and had met up with a couple of folks that were introduced friends of friends. And we went to an owl cafe. So, yes, 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 I see your expression. Because it was just something that was novel. And it was something that people have owls as pets. And we went to an owl cafe. Another interesting one, and this, I often try to do immersive experiences where I try to also get connected with something that is part of the tradition, part of the culture of the place where I'm staying. So one of my all-time favorites, so the Owl Cafe was a little whimsical, right? But one of my all-time favorites actually took place in Prague. And in the Czech Republic, it is almost a rite of passage for a young person to learn something musical. And I love classical music, and I had the opportunity to go to the workshop of a violin maker. And he walked me through the entire process, step by step by step, that we started with a piece of wood and how it got shaped and how it got carved and how it got measured and how the sound was perfected, soup to nuts, around a violin. Another interesting one, and I think this might have been the one you were thinking about, it just didn't come to me immediately, was I was in Dubai and I wanted to do something that was typical of a person who lives, something that was very a local activity. And I ended up going to camel races. So That was fun. And so the way that in the US we have the Kentucky Derby or we have NASCAR, or we have races, people will race camels. So people will bid. There's gambling involved. There is a robot that's a jockey on the camel, and you will watch these camels race around a track. So those are three kind of highly memorable special experiences.
I was specifically thinking about you being in the museum and seeing, I believe it was Renaissance era.
Oh my gosh, the Rembrandt. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So there is a museum in, well, first of all, Rembrandt, I was in Amsterdam, and Rembrandt lived in Amsterdam. You can go to Rembrandt's house and see his studio and the whole bit. But while I was there, they were doing an interpretation of taking classical paintings and modernizing them. They would use, public figures, popular pop culture figures and things of that sort to do a reenactment of a particular painting. So I was walking through Rembrandt's house and I got into this room where this painting was on the wall, or I'm sorry, a photograph was on the wall of these two Black men. And the little panel next to it was saying that you can, what the name of the painting was and where the original could be found, that type of thing. And so a little bit of a story about the painting. And then not even a week later, I had an accidental discovery of the painting, the original painting. And I believe the name is Two African Men. Well, the painting took my breath away because it was it was two men that were presented in two Black men that were presented in an almost regal fashion, which is not something that is frequently seen in paintings from centuries ago. This might have been a I don't quote me because I don't want to say how long, but it was centuries old. And the men were depicted in a positive light, as opposed to an image of servitude or an image that was mocking or something that was denigrating. And this original painting was done by Rembrandt. We believe, they don't know exactly for sure, but we believe that the men he painted lived in the neighborhood near him. There was a Black community that was very close to where Rembrandt lived. These men had obviously come and sat for him. And you don't just make a painting overnight. It takes days. There are multiple sittings. Painters and their subjects will often develop a relationship because they spend so much time together, or friendship, or some type of connection. So it just took my breath away that, one, this painting was done by Rembrandt in his era, and it's on the wall of this museum that was the former home of a sugar plantation owner who was known for his brutality. And it was these Black men hanging up on this wall of this emerald green damask wallpaper. And it just, I don't know, it just, after seeing the original, and then the striking photographical representation of it, I just stood there and took it all in. So it was a wonderful thing. As I've spent time in Europe, you just don't see a lot of images like that. We all know that there's not an abundance of imagery like that, and it was just noteworthy. It made quite an impression. Clearly, as excited as I am about it, but yes. So that's the story around that painting. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah,
Wonderful
because
experience. It was an absolutely wonderful experience to see it up close.
when you told us about it, that's exactly what came across. Your excitement and the details and the experience of it. Like, I feel like I was transported once again. And that's exactly what we focus on in our work, is pulling out that joy, pulling out that excitement, and finding ways to pull people into the stuff that we love to do, the stuff that is often overlooked. And I love that you have been able to move through to share some of this, because like you mentioned, like, it wasn't something that you had even thought to do or were interested necessarily in doing. So I love that you are starting to share your perspective, how you see the world. You were talking about like not a lot of people have passports. People with passports don't talk like you do. Like that matters, but like there it like is bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well, thank
there
you. Thank
somebody could
you.
go to the same museum and see that and be like, and move on. You know, it's like Black people, okay, next. You know, but
Well,
like
I
that.
think what's also been special about the mastermind as it's related to the sharing is it's given me being in the group. It's like we had this sense of ownership of everyone else's work too. So my success was someone else's success, or someone's challenge was our challenge, and we all came together to help one another figure out, how do you tell your story? Well, what is it that you want to do with your newsletter, or how do you want to elevate your blog content, or how do you organize your Instagram? And we really dug into some of those pieces where we were, of course, sharing our own experiences, gaining insight from others who perhaps have done it, and in many cases even were inspired to try something different. And so those were the unexpected delights and outcomes that I got from the experience. So I'm now, as a result, have my YouTube channel. I have been more consistent about posting. I'm working on my website. I'm just like moving the needle on things, and a lot of it was because of the energy and the encouragement and support, and I guess even lack of judgment that I got from that group. And I know others within the group have had similar experiences. So it's been great. It was great. It was definitely an all the boats rise type of situation.
Well, to be clear, there was plenty of judgment, but it was everybody's judging themselves.
True.
Y'all bring. I didn't bring no judgment. Y'all brought the judgment though, because that's
Okay.
just what we do.
Yeah, well, I think we're always our own worst critic, right?
Always,
So,
always, always.
right. But I think you are right about that we were sometimes critical of ourselves, but
Mm.
I believe that what I felt was that people in the community saw things that I didn't see. And because I trusted them, I believed what they were saying, right? So as they said, no, this is actually good, or no, think about doing this, or whatever the feedback was, whether it be positive or helpful to help to advance something, I I took it for the face value. And I said, okay, maybe this is pretty good, or maybe I do need to just make a tweak here, because it wasn't coming from a negative place. It was definitely coming from a place of support.
And maybe I could put that video out.
Exactly.
So I put Nadia's joint at the bottom. So she's on Facebook, she's on Instagram, and she's
Thank
on YouTube.
you.
Global Chronicles of Nadia. Holla at your girl.
Thank
That
you.
was one
Thank
of the,
you.
of course, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you as well, was what was it like inside? And so it just sounds like there was support, there was care. Care is a word I've been very interested in lately. Like
Yes.
having people in your life that actually care, and
Yes.
accountability as well.
Yes. And I think they're on your team.
Hmm.
And it that mattered. That mattered. But yes, it was care. There was definitely a lot of care and support and enthusiasm for one another. And it was sincere, and you felt it. And everyone's going to come into the mastermind with a different need. I got what I needed for sure. And I'm happy that I decided to give it a try. And I think that one of the tests I had for myself was there was a beauty in the organic nature of the experience. And what I mean by that is when I've gone to conferences or done workshops or, any type of course in the past, there was always a much more prescribed, you're going to do this on week 1, week 2, week 3, and you just knew exactly how everything was going to unfold. Now, we did have some structure, so don't think that you're going in and it's completely blind. But what I found was that there was also a nimbleness in that the group's focus, the energy was adjusted based on where we were at that time. So we may have, I don't know, we may have needed to spend 2 weeks on a particular topic because that's what the group needed, as opposed to rigidly, going through and hitting a number of check boxes by the end of our time together. It wasn't like that. So there might have been things that we didn't get into because it just wasn't needed for the group. So that's something that I believe is important and helps with the relevance for a person considering doing a mastermind, is that it's this one in particular, the approach, the style, the way it's designed, it will flex based on the where people are in their journey, the energy within the group, what the skill abundance is, or maybe the skill voids where people want to cultivate skills in a new area. It's really going to, or at least for my experience, it really adjusted accordingly. And that was good because sometimes you get disappointed because, you may feel as though, "Oh, well, I don't think I got anything new out of it." And that wasn't the case with this. I definitely got a lot of new out of it and enhanced and leveled up in a couple of areas too.
Or even bogged down, by wanting to keep up. Like, oh, I feel like I'm behind. Like I didn't have time to do XYZ or whatever. Some spaces can feel like that. And
I
so
agree.
like you get lost in the sauce.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And I will say there were a couple of times where I was like, "Oh, I need to catch up with this, that, or the other." But when I looked at it again, I didn't necessarily need to because I was doing what I needed to do for me, and I still ended up where I needed to go in the end.
I wanted to ask you, you talked about being able to level up in some areas or getting exactly what you need. What do you think you learned about yourself during the process?
Uh, I think, well, one thing I learned is that there's magic in momentum. So the consistency, so 12 weeks may sound like a lot. I think this next cycle's 10 weeks, right? But anytime, a lot of courses, they're like, you're going to do this all in 30 days. And it just feels overwhelming. By doing this over several weeks, you build up the momentum, you build up the relationships, you build up the trust. When we started, most of us didn't know each other. But as the weeks went on, those relationships were nurtured and grew and blossomed. People started to connect with one another independently outside of the class or outside of the sessions. A couple of times I was able to meet 2 people in person. Um, I really appreciated that people were from different, people were literally in different parts of the world. At one point, I met someone in well, there were 2 of us, there were 3 of us in Portugal, and I met both of the women. So there was that. But when I get to the momentum, as something that I learned is that there's some consistency that helps keep you moving the needle, and that there was an accountability there. We all consistently showed up, which was something that was really interesting. I've seen other groups like this lose people by the end, people kind of check out, and that wasn't the case. In fact, even as we concluded, we continued to be active within the chat groups and still, commenting on people's posts or giving feedback about a video or celebrating someone's success. So there's something to be said for the duration. So that was one, magic in the momentum. And I think for me individually, that I think that there is there's a community of people who are interested in what I have to say, what I have to offer, and what I'm bringing to the table. And I question that at times. Maybe that might have been a reason why I had been delayed in doing some of my content. It doesn't have to be perfect. People really just want you to be yourself. And that was definitely reinforced by the group. So those were two things that I really got out of it: momentum
That second
and
one,
inspiration.
that second one is everything. The first one is great. Magic and momentum, yes. But that second one, because I feel like when you have yourself, like, who cares about anything else? like you have yourself. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of the work, is that you have yourself. And like this work, not like the work through the capitalistic lens that we work
Right,
through.
right.
But we all got to eat, and so you do create some dope stuff as a side effect, but you have yourself. You know your value, you know your worth, and you give yourself the freedom to express that, to
Yes.
step into it and play with it, which is really dope and amazing, and see where you can take yourself.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely.
I
It
love
was
it.
fun. It was fun. I really enjoyed the group of women. They were fun. They were smart. They were enthusiastic. They genuinely cared. And I don't think that you're going to get that type of connection in a really short period of time. I think that was one of the beauties of making the commitment to do this over, I mean, several weeks, I think was definitely part of the secret sauce.
You definitely helped with that, because when we, for like the first session, we was like, okay, let's look at our goals, and he was like, can we actually just, can we, like, who are y'all actually? I was like, oh yeah, Wanda, steps. let's warm up here. Let's warm up the crowd. So I appreciate that. I'm definitely taking that into our next cohort. I wish I were taking you in too, but it's fine. I'll get over it.
Oh, stop it.
Wow.
It's not like I'm disappearing.
You're not, but you won't be with us in
I
this
know.
way. Don't leave me this way. Okay. It's a great song. I'm gonna play that after this. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Kapkun
Thank
Ka.
you.
Thank you so much. I've been very Thai lately here. Thank you. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Thank you for attending the mastermind. You sent me an email. You was like, girl, what's up? And I was like, girl, this is what's up. And you was like, girl, that's what's up. And then it was on and popping, baby. Nadia was
Well,
like,
it's funny. I remember I was sitting there thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to think that I'm so wound, because I remember thinking, well, I need, what are we going to, where's my weekly schedule? And it was funny. And that was something I learned, that you can still have the magical outcomes without it being overprescribed and rigid. And that was something that I let myself kind of ease into it. And it was definitely paid plenty of dividends for sure.
I feel like part of your transition, if I could tell your business, part of your
Okay.
transition has
Well,
been
not too much
from,
of my business.
not too much, but just like a structured place, into creating your own structure and understanding what that can look like for you. That's all the
Agreed.
business I wanted to say.
Agreed. So that
But
was
so
general. That wasn't a lot of business. No, I do. I definitely am one who I do need some semblance of structure, and I thought I needed a lot more than I really do. So that was definitely a learning.
and you were also, so you've been hitting them streets. So you were like, I think this time every week will be cool. I'm traveling. So you were calling from like a different location, like, Nadia, where you at this week, girl? Because last week you was over here, the week before that you was over there. Are you in the same place, or did you move on?
Yes, I definitely hit different countries. So I consider myself, well, I am an accidental nomad. I didn't expect to enjoy this lifestyle as much as I have. But I'm also a slow traveler. So I will tend to be in a new place. And sometimes the meetings were just at the cusp of me leaving one place and going to the next. But I tend to stay about 30 days, 4 to 6 weeks in a destination. So right now I'm in England and I'll be here probably until early May, but I have not made any plans beyond that. So who knows?
Look at you living
Yeah.
that life.
But I was in Portugal at one time. I was in the Netherlands another time. So yes, I was all over the place. And that was also one of the things I really appreciated about the group was that people were in different geographies. We had Mexico represented. We had someone who literally moved from California to Mexico. We had folks in Portugal.
Canada.
You changed locations during that time. And I think that's
Yeah.
the beauty of, you can find that community so readily. You can make that community so readily if you use the technology effectively.
Well, we wish you the absolute best for the duration of your time in England and wherever you land next. Please go check out Nadia's joint. She has her YouTube channel, her Instagram and Facebook, and look out for a website.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. So thank you. We really appreciate you. And we can't wait to see what you do next because we know it's going to be super fantastic, super califragilisticexpialidocious.
Yes.
All right, Nadia.
I believe it. No, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm so glad you, this community is a wealth of information, very talented, knowledgeable, smart, fun people, as well as there are tremendous offerings such as the conference, such as the mastermind, such as just the things that get posted on the page. So thank you for having this, I don't know, being inspired to offer this to folks. It's very, very important and helpful and rich. So thank you, Wanda.
I appreciate that. Thank you, girl.
Thank you, girl. Have an excellent, excellent day.
Thank you
so
so
much. For thinking of me.
Of course. All right. I think if we say thank you anymore, then we'll just melt. So thank you. I'll melt for you, girl. Yes, we will see you out there in the internet streets.
I appreciate that.
All right. Bye, girl.